Okay, that's done. So, yeah, again, I've shared my screen with you. So this unit aims to develop your understanding of different areas of growth and development, and that is human growth and development, and how each development area has an impact on each other. So the physical will have an impact on the mental will have an impact on the intellectual, and so on and so forth. And this unit introduces learners to various stages of growth and development that a human being passes through on their journey throughout life. So there'll be a pass, merit, and distinction. We'll talk in detail about all of this in our assignment discussion. Okay, so this is just an overview, brief overview, which has been shared with you on Moodle, on the Moodle website as well. I will now start sharing my slides with you. Just give me a minute. So, so I hope you can see my slides. So this is Unit 3, Human Growth and Development. So the first learning outcome, we have learning outcomes, okay? So we have around 5 or 6 learning outcomes for this session. So the first learning outcome is to know the stages of growth and development throughout the human lifespan. Okay, so there's some indicative content um, for this unit. So this unit would aim, as I said, that your understanding will be there, how each uh, phase of development impacts each other, or stage of growth and development of a human being. How does it impact um, every other stage? So there's some indicative content here that I will discuss with you. So there is some life stages um, which start from infancy to and end at late adulthood. Um, During the session, if you have any question, if you have any query, please feel free to question um, in between. Or if you're not comfortable, you can text, you can send a message in the group chat. Um, yeah. So we'll talk about physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development. So by physical development, we mean to say that it's gross motor skills that involve large movements, and these involve the whole body, fine motor skills involving smaller, more controlled movements. So they're gross motor skills that have larger movements, and then there are fine motor skills that involve smaller, more controlled movements, just as handwriting, for instance. Walking would be gross motor skill, while writing or sewing will be a fine motor skill. Physical changes to the body as a result of puberty, we'll talk about those. The emotional and developmental changes, bonding and attachments, expressing feelings, following instructions, cooperation, self-control, self-concept, friendships, peer groups, we'll talk all about them, their influence on each other, changes from birth to old age affecting health and well-being. We'll talk about nurture and nature, and we'll talk about key principles, biological programming, the effects of experiences versus heredity, sorry, or inheritance, maturation theory, life factors, genetics, biological, environmental, socio-economic, lifestyle, and major life events. We'll also talk about what the developmental norms and milestones are. Uh, we'll talk in detail about them. And then we'll talk about the stages of care to meet health needs throughout the human life. I'll send you a link of this video. You can have a look at it for the key terminologies as someone ages. So here's about the video. So these are certain stages of growth and development throughout the lifespan of a human being. So Just a minute. Yeah. So throughout the lifespan, you would think of a list of different developmental periods. So you have three major periods. They're childhood, adulthood, and old age. Sometimes some people call them, divide them into four stages, um, like infancy, childhood, adulthood, and um, sorry, adolescence and adulthood. So some people call them as divide them as three stages, and some people or researchers have it as four stages: infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. There's some developmentalists who study human development. They often break the human lifespan into 8 stages, starting from prenatal development, and they go through infancy, toddlerhood, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and ending with late adulthood. So, your first learning outcome. So, the first learning outcome is to understand how there's an impact on each um, developmental milestone on the other. So, here's to describe the physical, intellectual, emotional, social development of for each of the life stages of an individual. So, from conception, if you see, it is when you conceive a baby. Okay, there's a fetus that you have that you conceive, and the process starts where the egg and the sperm they fuse, and this is after sexual intercourse, uh, and this creates a new life. Okay, and then you have pregnancy or gestation. And this is a process where after the sperm and the egg they meet, then there's a fetus formation. Um, and then this goes through 9 months or 40 weeks until the birth of the child. In this stage, the mother and the baby go through 3 trimesters, so they're 3 months. That's what trimester, the name as it suggests, where the embryo and the fetus physically develop. And then you have birth. It is when the baby comes out of the mother's body. So, but in some cases, for some reasons, the baby is born before or after that. So, 9 months is not always 9 months. The labor process has two different stages that lead to birth, and then you start with infancy, which is actually not 0 to 3 years. It's actually till 1 year. Okay, and then there's a constant development, and babies they depend in as infants when they're 1 year less than 1 year old, they're highly dependent on their adults. They start developing, they sleep throughout the night most of the time, if you're lucky. Otherwise they'll stay awake, some of them, and it gets stronger and stronger and tend to become more independent. So this is a chart that tells you about um, physical, intellectual, emotional, and social um, aspects of growth pies. Okay, so 0 to 12 months or an infancy. So you have 12 months where you have social or emotional development, where the child starts to smile at people. They may show signs of calming self. Um, they may try to look at the parent. Okay, this is 2 months. And there may be variations in this also. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, I'll just give a brief overview of this. I want you to all take a picture of this because it's a lot. Okay. And then we will discuss this tomorrow when we get back to our session. So I want each of you to go through what happens at 12 months in the social and emotional development, language, cognitive, and physical development. Okay, and what happens at 4 months? in all these components, what happens at 6 months, what happens at 9 months, and what happens at the end of the infancy period, that is 12 months. Okay, just take a picture, and then I would want you to all go through this and have an understanding of what happens and when it happens, and then we'll discuss this tomorrow. Is that okay? Okay, so intellectual growth.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I hope you've taken a picture.
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so so what happens and when intellectually? So a baby should be able to recognize sounds, especially when their brains are growing really fast. Okay, and especially when it comes to their parents' sounds. Even in the womb, the child can tell whose sound is which, and when they grow, when they're out of the womb, they actually recognize those sounds, and they know who was near them, who wasn't. Babies are born with the ability to sense objects. They are also born with a range of reflexes. So there are different reflexes that a baby would have, such as a suckling reflex. A baby will have um, some skills that they have, so sensory motor stage. There'll be a stage when the mind is limited to thinking about sensing objects and performing motor actions. um, the emotional the child has emotions such as love, there's fear when they don't see their parents around, there's anger, which they express with crying, there's hunger, which they express in anger and cry as a result. So the baby develops their self-esteem and concept of who they are. The baby also goes through the process of growth of feelings, and they're becoming aware of who they are. And they enjoy feeding, they enjoy staying around people. So they're very social people. Um, Socially, they're pro-social. Okay, unlike older adults. Uh, you have older people who are social as well, but infants or babies are very social. From the age of 6 months, they like to be around other people and enjoy it. Babies can imitate other people's faces, expressions. They may offer them toys. Um, that's sharing and wanting to play with that person. Now, coming out of infancy and starting with with childhood, which is 4 to 9 years. So there are a lot of physical and emotional and intellectual changes that happen with the when the child reaches this age. So as physical, it at this stage, the baby is now called a kid, okay, or a child. They develop gross and fine motor skills. Motor skills is the using of the muscles in the body. Gross motor skills are the bigger muscles, and fine motor are the smaller, tiny muscles of the body, which help make you write. They make you type. Those are fine motor skills. Um, their height increases, uh, um, but not as much as it increases as they're when they're an infant. Their bones get stronger and they're able to heal um, faster, and their organs stay small, the reproductive organs, especially. Their head is 90% of the adult size, so it's almost there. Gross motor skills and fine motor skills have been mentioned over here for babies or for children. So they can walk backwards, that is a gross motor skill. They can climb upstairs, downstairs, they can jump. They can play ball games, can skip. There's a palmar grasp, using the whole hand to grasp something. That's a gross motor skill. They develop locomotion, which is basically to move from one place to another. Whereas fine motor skills in childhood, like they can build towers with blocks, they enjoy painting with big brushes, they use scissors to cut paper, they can draw people with a head, trunk, legs, etc. Mostly they'll draw their parents and their siblings. They can write letters and alphabets. They can throw and catch things. These are all fine motor skills, and they can roll around. These were the physical skills that we were talking about of a child. Now coming towards the intellectual skills. So at this stage, the child goes through different changes and developments. So from the age of 3 years, they recognize their names, and when they're written down, they repeat the last word. Uh, and At this stage, the child is has the ability to talk or use some words and make some sentences. Again, as I said, not all children are the same. Some children who are you talk to them a lot, they are more verbal compared to children who remain with silent people around. So uh, they are normally attracted by the images of books, and they don't go through texts and it's recommended that you show them colorful books with a lot of pictures. At this ages of 4 to 5, they have their education, which starts. They get to know colors. They're more interested in learning new words, making new friends. In music is they like music a lot. And from the age of 6 and above, their childhood starts. This stage starts ending. They're able to think more than one thing at a time. So there's multi-thinking. They have different tasks that they can do. They're capable of making up stories um, and differentiating the real from the unreal. Again, as I said, different children are different. They have different circumstances. As they grow, the learning becomes it becomes harder and it improves. Emotionally, that was the intellectual part. Now, emotionally, they can now comprehend their sex. For example, a boy will usually be attracted to superheroes, to boy toys, and to guns. And the girl, in contrast, will play with dolls, teddy bears, etc. So that's how they're differentiated in terms of their likes and preferences. They also start to show a sense of humor, and they're very social still, um, most of them. Socially, children have an incredible way of getting along. Again, as I said, they're very social. Uh, they don't care about race, gender, religion, language. They don't care about it. And the best part is that they play together, they dance together. They don't, they're not hesitant from a very early stage. They do that. They love making friends. They don't mind who the child they're playing with. They're just concerned about having fun, and that's their only goal. Now talking about the adolescent. I hope this is clear till childhood, the stage till childhood. I'll just pause here and I'll take your attendance if that's okay. Just give me a minute. Can you please do me a favor? Can you all write your name in the chat box if that's okay? That will be easier for me because it's kind of getting hard to get all your names there. So if you can just write down your names there in the chat box, that will be great. Um, yeah, stop sharing. I'll start sharing. Thank you, everyone. I'll just take a break of 2 minutes. I'll be back in the break. I just need, uh, you can have a 2 minute break also. I'll just be back. Thank you. Yeah, I think signals went down. Yeah, yeah, I'm back. Uh, Now I have you all here. I'll take your attendance as well. Thank you for putting down your names there. So, yeah, that's done. So, I'll start sharing my slides again from where we left. I hope you can see my slides and you can hear me clear. Okay, so now we go to the adolescent phase. So that ranges from 10 to 18 years. Okay, and what do we have here? We have different changes here also. Okay, so there's some physical changes, there's some intellectual changes. As you can see, the male and the female, the different body changes that happen. The most important changes that happen are the hormones that change. Okay, so for the females there's estrogen, and for the males there is the hormone called testosterone that mainly functions to for them towards adulthood. So they grow bigger, grow more masculine for males. Okay, their voice will become deeper, hoarser. They'll develop pubic and facial hair, and there'll be increased muscle strength. The penis and testicles start to grow and develop as well. for the females, so they're different ages. Again, there'll be some girls or females who will reach puberty very early. So there'll be some who reach late, but the most of the time, the most agreed ages are 11 to 13 years. And for females, and for males, it is 13 to 15 years. So for females, they change um, occurs in breasts as they grow bigger because of estrogen. There's increase of fat layers under the skin. There's pubic hair that starts to appear, and you have your first period as well. And that, so there's estrogen and there's testosterone for females and males. Okay, so these physical changes then happen, and then there's some intellectual changes. So they have their own personalities, they develop their own personalities that can um, have an impact on who they are and how they turn out to be. So at this stage, when they're at school, mostly they have uh, different ways, they have different ways of understanding the world, and they know, they start improve their reasoning skills, they start improving on their argumental skills. They start setting up goals, they think more about what's going to happen next in their life. They develop things like their thinking improves around right or wrong. This is intellectual. And then emotionally, they want to be nurtured. Okay, that is the time that they want nurturing, and that is also a time when they want their definitive sense of identity. um, this can have emotional an emotional change, like the emotions can change because of their puberty, or their hormonal changes uh, seeping in. And for instance, when there's a menstrual cycle, the girls can go through different um, feelings, different emotions. So there's emotional changes as well. Socially, they start building up their friends and they start having their own circles. Adolescence can be very traumatic if the individuals are influenced by wrong or false ideas and points of views. That's adolescence. And then starting to talk about adulthood. So it's 19 to 65 years. That's early adulthood. And then we have later adulthood after that. So what we'll do today, I think we will just finish till, yeah. So we should be able to finish till this slide number 20, and then we'll start, because this is a new topic that we will start talking about. So this will require another few minutes. So we'll discuss the second learning outcome tomorrow, if that's okay. So adulthood, as I said, so at this stage, the hair, so whatever was at their peak starts to regress now. So if they're more active during their early years, they start becoming less active. Okay, children. As the children, they were very, they had um, they had increased. Everything was increasing in them. Their height, their understanding of the world, and their sense of hearing, their sense of um, speaking or arguments, all of that was improving. Whereas here, everything is on a depression. Okay, so they start having wrinkles and dry skin. They have reproductive capacities that decreases. Um, Vision changes, hearing changes, the fats that accumulate in their stomach, so they can not digest food as much as they used to. There are hormonal changes that occur, um, menstruation starts decreasing because of menopause, and there's increase in the production of a hormone called gonadotropin that causes hot flushes and irritability in women. Intellectually, also they change, so they're at their highest condition to hit the peak rate or intellectually. At this stage, they have a clearer uh, um, level of understanding and awareness of what is right and wrong. When being asked questions, they can think and give more than one answer. They also use logic to solve problems um, and situations. And they have two types of intelligence: crystallized, which is the amount of knowledge and experience an individual has, and fluid, which is the basic data processing skills. So there's two types of intelligence when it comes to in adulthood. So they have the knowledge, which is crystallized form of intelligence, and they have uh, the basic data processing skills, uh, which is known as fluid. Emotionally, also, they have changes. At this stage, the individuals learn how to deal with their emotional attachments. They have sexual partners to whom they are very close, and they have stable, intimate relationships. Those who don't have then mental disturbances also. Go through when they go through these stages, they get closer to later adulthood, um, and they want a more calmer environment in their lives. Some of them start to feel depressed. They need more family ties, whereas families, they disperse at this time. Mostly people get married. They leave their houses. They go for careers. They find jobs, and people are left on their own. Coming towards social aspects. So because these people at this time, they're mostly closely to their time when they end their careers, they end their jobs. So at the end of this, their friends become very important. Okay, and they have kids, they have different priorities, um, and if they have a job, that's okay, but some of them have also declining career pathways as well, because their learning becomes depressed at this stage, and their priorities change. Late adulthood, the last bit, so 65 and older, um, physical changes happen. So the organs, they become weaker, your bladder becomes weaker, your lungs become weaker, your heart becomes weaker, all your muscles become weaker, and they become more lax as opposed to being tight initially, stronger initially. The organs don't work properly the way they used to. There's hair loss, there's hearing and vision loss. The individuals may become ill. Their immune system becomes weaker, just as when they were children and very young. Their immune system wasn't that strong, that well developed. Now it's the second depression, um, of their immune system, of all their systems going weaker. Intellectually, at this stage, the brain does not work as fast and effective as before, so they are less able to think about how to solve a problem and cope with difficult life challenges. So this is because when they were children, they had the same problems, and now they're older adults, later adulthood has the same problems. Some individuals can acquire mental problems like dementia. We know of this, when they can't remember recent events that happened in their lives, or just being very forgetful. They have emotional changes as well. So elderly people sometimes feel the need to forget, they forget things. Okay, so dementia is there. Um, they talk and do things they used to do when they were younger. Um, they feel the need to forget the age they currently are, and they behave as young people. Okay, that is an activity theory. Okay, there are different theories that have been put up by scientists. So that's that this is an activity theory in the emotional aspect of late adulthood. Most people feel the need to catch up with their family members or childhood friends. They may feel upset, they may feel depressed because this is a big change in their lives that happens. People die, they pass away, who were closer to them. Um, some people still want to enjoy life as now they have the time and the money to do. Some people, they have the money to do what they want. Socially, they don't really want to be social, most of them, and socially active as they used to be because they don't have the energy and they just want to relax with their partners or close friends or family members or stay alone instead. Some elderly people, they still like to travel, some of them, and join leisure centers just to keep them going. So, all of these stages show the way in which an individual develops throughout the years and makes the person who they are through this development. Okay. Um, I'll just talk about just a minute. There's a lot to cover tomorrow also. So I'll just go through this last slide because we still have time. Um, this is one of the major learning outcomes that you will have for your assignment as well. So this is 1.2. This is to identify key changes from birth to old age affecting health and well-being. There are two components. So there's nature and there's nurture. So nature is when is what we think of as pre-wiring, that we say this is the person's nature. And sometimes it's through genetic inheritance also. So there's a genetic component also. So there's a person who's very jolly and you say, oh, his parents were jolly as well. Nature refers largely to our genetics. It includes genes. When we are born, we inherit them from our parents and we develop them from childhood through adulthood. Nurture is the influence of external factors and right after birth, whatever exposures you have. So you have positive exposures, you have negative exposures, you have that is what nurturing is. Okay, so for a person who has a positive influence in their lives, has a positive um, environment in their life, uh, mm, goes on to progress in when they're older, as adults, compared to people who do not have a very nurturing environment. So those people or those when they're adults, they have a lot of problems, especially with regards to their mental health. So there's nature. Let's say a person has this nature of being very anxious, and there's nurture also. So if they've seen their parents being very anxious around them, and they've had that environment of not feeling very secure, uh, that adds to their anxiety and their stresses in life, uh, that were not part of their nature. So, at the biological level, uh, it is known that aging results from the impact of the accumulation. So, that is what nurture and nature are. That's the difference between nature and nurture. So, just to finish this, at the biological level, there's aging, which results from the impact of the accumulation of a wide variety of molecular and cellular damage over time. This will lead to a gradual decrease in physical and mental capacity and a growing risk of disease and ultimately death. Okay. I'll not go beyond this because beyond this, there are more complex um, things that we would want to talk about. I'll just start. I'll share this link with you. If you could just have a read of this. Um, there's this additional reading. Okay, we'll talk about nature and nurture. Actually, we have the time, so why not? Okay, so I'll just talk about it anyways. Uh, so nature, as because we're actually doing it at the moment. So the different approaches to so nature and nurture come from they stem from psychology. So let's go through this reading, and this will give you an understanding that you have a biological approach uh, within nature. So we said that people they have nature in their genetics, and then there's nurture, which goes to behaviorism, which goes to more understanding of the behavior that the person has and their environmental influences. So when we talk about nature and when we move from here to here in this arrow, the biological approach says that there's more focus on the genetic, hormonal, and neurochemical explanations of behavior, and there's psychoanalysis, the study where there's innate drives of sex and aggression. There's social upbringing during childhood, which is nurture. Okay, so there's nature and nurture here. Then there's cognitive psychology, which says that there's innate mental structures such as schematics. There's perception and memory, and constantly this is changed by the environment. So whatever you are, it is constantly changed through your environment. Humanism is Maslow's theory, who emphasized the basic physical needs of an individual. Their societal influences, which influence a person's self-concept, the society. And then there's nurture on the other extreme. So this is behaviorism, and all behavior is learned from the environment through conditioning. Okay, so this says every nature, it doesn't have a genetic component, it is actually learned through the environment. So there are certain extremes when it comes to psychology. um, just go through this additional reading. I will stop share here, and then we will start from where we left. We will start that tomorrow. I shall see you tomorrow, same time. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? I'll just take a picture of this. I'll try and take, okay, let me just save this. So I'm sending you a picture of this. Copy. Hope it's comes up. So I've sent you this picture where you can have a look at what we were talking about. So pies, if you could just go through this and just look at what different components it has, and we'll have a discussion on it tomorrow, if that's okay. Yeah, so I shall let you go now. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'll let you go now, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
See you
See
tomorrow.
you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.